Hello, incredible minds, and a truly warm, heartfelt welcome back to Undistracted Minds.
It's great to be diving in again.
I'm so glad you're joining us because, wow, today we're exploring something huge, really fundamental. It's the power of the self-image.
Ah, yes. And it's fascinating, isn't it, how this idea has really gained traction recently. It
Sure.
connects fields you wouldn't necessarily think of together straight away.
Exactly, like psychology, psychiatry, even plastic surgery.
Right. And the insights coming from looking at all these together are, well, pretty groundbreaking. It's like a quiet revolution in understanding ourselves.
It really feels like that. We've pulled together some stuff that shows how these different viewpoints all kind of point to this one central idea. It still kind of blows my mind that, what a surgeon sees might tell us so much about our inner world.
It is quite something. And that's really our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To unpack how this internal blueprint, this picture we have of ourselves, how it shapes pretty much everything.
Everything.
Well, our actions, our feelings, what we think we're capable of, even whether we experience life as, successful or a struggle.
Okay, so this is like a shortcut to understanding a massive piece of personal growth. Let's do it. So where does this idea, the self-image, actually start?
Okay, so at its heart, it's this mental picture, right, that each of us has about who we are. It's not always conscious, not like a detailed photo.
More like a feeling or a sense of self.
Exactly. And it gets built up, often unconsciously, from all our past experiences, successes, failures, how people reacted to us, especially way back in childhood. There's like an internal self-portrait we're always sort of touching up.
Right. Subconsciously developing this idea of me. And the key thing is, once a belief gets lodged in there.
It becomes our truth.
Yeah.
We just act as if it's a fact, undeniable.
And this is where it gets really powerful because our actions, feelings, behaviors, even our abilities, they always line up with this image.
That's the first really big discovery. They're always consistent with it. We literally act like the person we conceive ourselves to be, even if we consciously try not to or use willpower.
Wow.
Yeah, the source material we looked at put it starkly. It can be the difference between success and failure, love and hate, bitterness and happiness, freedom or conformity.
So give me an example. If someone sees themselves as, I don't know, a failure type.
Well, even if they want to succeed, have good intentions, they might find ways to mess things up, procrastinate maybe, or make a silly mistake just at the crucial moment. It's like they subconsciously arrange to fail because, well, that fits their self-image.
So the internal belief kind of sabotages the conscious effort.
Precisely. Or think about someone who sees themselves as a victim, always hard done by.
Okay.
They'll tend to interpret things that happen, even neutral things, as further proof that the world's against them. They find circumstances to support that view.
And the same for, say, a kid in school who thinks they're bad at math.
Absolutely. The classic example, they think, I'm just not a math person.
Yeah.
So they don't try as hard, they get anxious in tests, their grades reflect it, and that just reinforces the original belief. See, I told you I was bad at math.
It's a loop, a self-reinforcing cycle.
Totally. Or the girl who believes nobody likes her, she might act defensively or shy away and inadvertently push people away, confirming her fear. The salesman who expects rejection often communicates that lack of confidence and, well, gets rejected.
And what makes it tricky is that the outward results, the bad grade, the failed sale, they look like objective proof, right? It makes it hard to see the self-image as the cause.
Exactly that. It's really hard to see past the evidence. If you tell that student, you only think you can't do algebra, they'll just point to their F grade.
Yeah, or the salesman points to his empty order book. It's not what I think, it's reality.
Right. The experiences seem to prove the self-image correct.
But, and this is crucial, this self-image, it can be changed. It's not fixed.
That's the second massive discovery. Absolutely. It can be changed. It's not set in stone, not at any age.
Okay, that's hopeful. But why does it often feel so hard to change things about ourselves then? Habits, patterns.
Well, the theory suggests most attempts focus on the wrong thing. We try to change the external behavior, the habit itself, using willpower.
Like trying to force yourself to stop eating cookies or something.
Yeah, instead of looking at the underlying image or belief that might be driving the behavior. Maybe a belief like, I have no self-control, or I deserve a treat because I feel bad. You're just treating the symptom.
Ah, okay. So trying positive thinking on top of a negative self-image.
Right.
It's like putting a sticking plaster on a deep wound.
That's a good way to put it. The source used the analogy of patching an old garment or putting new wine into old bottles. It just doesn't mesh well. If you don't address the core negative concept, The positive thoughts often don't stick or they feel fake.
But if you do change the self-concept.
Then the positive changes in behavior and feeling often happen much more easily, more naturally.
Right. And this brings us to Prescott Leckie. He was a real pioneer here.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was way ahead of his time. He saw personality as this system of ideas.
A system.
Yeah, and the key thing about this system is that it needs internal consistency. Ideas that don't fit, that clash with the core beliefs, tend to get rejected.
And the absolute core of that system
is the self-image. It's the keystone, the central pillar everything else organizes around.
So if I believe I'm not creative and then I have a really creative idea, my system might reject it, make me doubt it.
That's the idea. It feels not like me, so you dismiss it. Leckie did these amazing experiments with students.
Oh, yeah. What kind of things?
He worked with students who were struggling academically, bad spellers, kids failing subjects, even dropouts. And he found that by helping them change their conception of themselves.
Not by drilling them harder on the subject.
Not primarily. By changing how they saw themselves as learners, their performance often skyrocketed. It was about the self-image, not just aptitude.
Wow. Any specific examples that stand out?
Oh, definitely. There's a student, apparently a terrible speller, misspelled like 55 words frequently. Leckie helped him see himself differently, and he became one of the best spellers.
No way.
Yeah. A college student who dropped out, convinced he wasn't smart enough, worked with Leckie on his self-concept and became a straight-A student.
That's incredible.
A girl, failing Latin repeatedly, same thing, changed her belief about her ability, passed with a high grade. A boy told he had zero aptitude for English, who then won a literary prize.
So the issue wasn't a lack of intelligence, it was this internal barrier, this inadequate self-image.
Exactly. And Leckie really hammered home the danger of identifying with failure. Saying, I'm a failure versus I failed that test. Big difference.
That distinction feels really important.
It is. And he used the same principles to help people with things like chronic nail biting, even stuttering. Changing the self-concept had ripple effects.
Okay, so we've seen the psychological angle. Now, the plastic surgery connection, this feels like it comes out of left field. How does that fit in?
It does seem surprising at first, doesn't it? But the author of the main source we're drawing on was a plastic surgeon. And he started noticing something really striking.
What was that?
After he performed surgery to correct some kind of facial defect, a scar, a misshapen nose, whatever, he often saw these dramatic personality changes in his patients.
Changes beyond just feeling better about their appearance.
Way beyond. Like shy people becoming bold and confident, someone considered, kind of slow or moronic, suddenly seemed bright and engaged.
Seriously?
Yes. A failing salesman regaining his confidence and succeeding. Even people described as hardened criminals showing remarkable positive shifts after surgery addressed something they were deeply self-conscious about. It was like the scalpel was a magic wand sometimes.
That sounds almost unbelievable, like in the movies.
There's even a book referenced New Faces, New Futures, detailing these kinds of cases. The change in self-esteem seemed to unlock a whole different person.
It wasn't always like that, was it? There were exceptions.
Ah, yes. And this is where it gets really interesting and points back to the self-image. He saw baffling cases, too.
Like what?
Like a duchess who had her nose fixed, but remained just as cripplingly shy and insecure as before.
So the physical change didn't touch the inner feeling.
Exactly. Or people who had quite drastic surgery looked objectively much different, but their personalities, their insecurities, didn't change one bit. Some even denied they looked any different, despite obvious evidence.
Wow. Denied it.
Yeah. It highlights that the internal image is paramount. If that doesn't change, the external change might not matter psychologically.
And this leads to that idea of imaginary ugliness, right? People feeling bad about their appearance, even if objectively there's nothing wrong.
Precisely. And it's surprisingly common. A really high percentage of people who look perfectly normal, are deeply unhappy with some aspect of their appearance.
And psychologically, their reaction is similar to someone with an actual visible disfigurement.
Very similar. The shame, the anxiety, avoiding social situations. The internal suffering is just as real, even if the flaw is perceived rather than actual. Their internal scar is just as painful.
So the self-image really is the key, the secret, as the source calls it. It explains both the successes and the failures, the transformations and the exceptions.
That's the argument. And having an adequate and realistic self-image is crucial for well-being.
What does that look like, an adequate one?
It means having an image you can live with comfortably, finding yourself acceptable, basically. Having some wholesome self-esteem, being able to trust yourself, believing yourself a bit.
Not being ashamed to just be you.
Yeah, and feeling able to express yourself creatively without constant self-criticism. And, crucially, it needs to correspond reasonably well to reality, acknowledging strengths and weaknesses. Not pretending you're perfect, but not dwelling only on flaws either.
Okay. And when that image is secure, we feel good, confident.
Generally, yes. Good, confident, less anxious. But if it's threatened or just inadequate, we feel anxious, insecure, maybe ashamed, defensive.
It makes sense why a physical scar might devastate one person, but be a badge of honor for another.
Exactly. A duelist scar versus, say, a salesman feeling his scar ruins his prospects. It's all about how it impacts the self-image.
And why fixing the physical face doesn't always fix the inner feeling if that negative self-image persists. It's like that phantom limb idea. The feeling is still there, even if the physical part has changed.
That's a perfect analogy. The psychological pattern remains.
So the surgeon, the author, he realized fixing faces wasn't always enough.
He realized that often what people were truly seeking wasn't just a new nose, but more life. Happiness, success, peace of mind. And sometimes that required more than surgery. It needed, well, he called it a kind of spiritual facelift, addressing the internal image.
A shift from just the physical to the psychological.
A major shift in his focus, yes.
And this connects to the idea of a life instinct and this creative mechanism.
Yeah, the source talks about this innate drive within us, the life instinct pushing towards health, growth, happiness. It's always there.
And the creative mechanism is how it works.
Sort of. It's presented as this goal-striving mechanism within us.
Yeah.
Like your own personal built-in guidance system. When it's working well, it's a success mechanism, automatically figuring out how to reach goals.
Like the subconscious mind working towards what we focus on.
Very much like that. It draws on cybernetics the idea of a mechanism that steers towards a target. Our conscious mind sets the target, gives it the data, the beliefs.
And the self-image sets the limits on those targets.
Bingo. It defines the boundary of what that creative mechanism believes is possible for you. It sets the size of the playing field. If the image is small and limited, so are the goals it can effectively pursue.
But the good news is we can learn to use this mechanism better. There's a program for better living.
That's the hopeful message. It's about understanding this mechanism and then consciously using it, practicing new ways of thinking, imagining, remembering.
Acting as if.
Yes, acting as if you already are the person you want to be or have achieved the goal. This helps to build and reinforce that new, more adequate self-image.
I like those simple examples he gives, like, if you can remember, worry, or tie your shoe, you can succeed.
Right. It demystifies it. It shows you already have the basic mental equipment. Remembering uses imagery. Worrying is negative imagination.
Yeah.
It's about redirecting those skills.
So you don't need some massive life-changing success to start shifting the image.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Even recalling small past successes, focusing on positive memories, taking small actions consistent with the desired image. All of that starts to chip away at the old one and build the new. Every little bit helps.
Wow. This has been incredibly illuminating, really digging into the power of this internal picture. It feels fundamental.
It really does, doesn't it? It suggests we have more influence over our lives than we might think, just by understanding and working with this internal image.
Absolutely. And look, a massive thank you for unpacking all of that with me today. It's been genuinely fascinating.
My pleasure entirely. It's a subject that just keeps on giving, I think.
It really does. And for you, our fantastic listener, now that we've explored this whole concept of the self-image, here's something to maybe mull over. What's just one small belief you currently hold about yourself, maybe one you take for granted, that you might be willing to just gently re-examine?
That's a powerful question to sit with.
It is. And listen, if you found this deep dive valuable, please do subscribe to Undistracted Minds. That way you won't miss out as we continue exploring more of these, mind-expanding ideas.
There's always more fascinating territory to cover.
Definitely. And we genuinely love hearing from you. Please pop over to the comment section. Let us know one thing that really struck you today, or maybe a question that popped into your head during our chat. We read them all.
Yeah, that interaction really makes this worthwhile.
It absolutely does. So until we meet for our next deep dive, thank you so much again for listening to Undistracted Minds. Please take very good care of yourselves.